Live from Studio A, WTLK, The Thunder.
The title for the new Jurassic World has finally been revealed as Jurassic World Dominion. And in talking about it, because they've now started filming it, Chris Pratt has said that it's pretty much going to be like the end game of the Jurassic World series, and that everybody's in it, like people from the first Jurassic Park and whatnot. So if you're just like, if you're not bringing anybody back from the dead or have anything close in the portal scene, then don't get ahead of yourself, friend. But I'm sure this will actually be a pretty awesome movie anyway. And also, James Mangold is taking over Indiana Jones 5 directing duties from Steven Spielberg. Spielberg, of course, you already know he's done all the previous Indiana Jones pretty much. And James Mangold is pretty well known for making good Wolverine movies, because he did The Wolverine, he did Logan, which was absolutely a smash hit, and he also very recently did Ford versus Ferrari, which was a pretty major player in this year's sort of Oscar scene. And in Thunder Talk news, we did actually record with Beth and Kavika. Me, Dan, Beth, and Kavika recorded last Monday. And Dan and I recorded yesterday with Mark, and that was a good old time, because had some Coronas, and of course yesterday was my birthday, so yay, happy birthday to me and all that. But of course it didn't end yesterday, because, well, also, after we got done recording, Dan and I watched the Lakers game on ESPN. That was fun, and then showed Dan parts 2 and 3 of Crisis on Infinite Earths, because he's only seen part 4 and 5. And what the fuck, CW app? You have like Crisis parts 2 through 4 available for viewing on the app, but not 1 through 5. It's just like, why? Can't you just put them all up there? I'm very interested to know what's going on with that. But anyway, whatevs. I mean, I've seen all 5 parts of Crisis, so I mean, I'm good, but it just doesn't make sense to me. But whatevs. Like I said, birthday stuff doesn't end there, of course, because of course it wouldn't. Because of course next week I got family dinner, or this coming Sunday, got family dinner and a very awesome cake that I can't wait to show everybody, and I'm going to eat all of. And of course there's little other festivities here, like holy shits, literally something happening every damn week in March, because same day as family dinner is Elimination Chamber. So yeah, next week we're talking about Elimination Chamber. And then the week after that, there's a St. Patrick's Day haunt in over at Nightmare Dungeon in Powdersville, South Carolina. That actually runs like longer than the whole weekend. It runs from the 13th through the 18th, I want to say. It's like, that's bonkers for a little out of season haunt, but that it's also just really awesome. And of course on the 20th we've got Doom Eternal, and then the weekend after that is SC Comic Con and Raw Lanta 2. So yeah, I figure my birthday actually isn't going to end until Nick and I are leaving Atlanta later that evening. Then my birthday will be over. I just conquer the whole month. What can I say? It's just the Asgardian in me, in, out, and around me. Oh, and so let me get your ears for a second, because there's going to be some shifting and changes here that I want you to follow along with, because I don't want to have to repeat this. Actually, yes, I do, so I make sure I have it straight in my own head. But within the coming weeks, ideally, by the time SC Comic Con comes around, there's going to be a sort of shifting of direction here. And, you know, if you've already caught on to what this honestly is, as opposed to me, who denied it for so long, but it was just like, okay, yeah, probably is. Yeah, all the miscellaneous non-wrestling news talking about comic books and shit, Marvel and DC, and maybe some Star Wars here and there. That's going to be removed, but not discarded. But yeah, at eventually some point, this is going to be a purely wrestling podcast, and there's going to be a whole lot more different stuff here than just a few random headlines and what happened on Raw, NXT, and SmackDown too. Like I'm talking about, I want to stay on, of course, do everything WWE because of course, and get back into covering AEW consistently too. And if you might probably be able to tell from the rest of the show, I'm doing a pretty good start on that. So, yeah, and of course, this is going to be retitled and all that. And I'm still sort of workshopping it, but I mean, everybody I've spoken to, which would be Dan and James and Nick, they all seem pretty on board with it. So I think I'm just going to go with it. But this is going to be called The Ring of Thunder, or The Ring of Thunder with Sexy Thor. Because, yeah. But however, my reporting of the Marvel and DC and whatever nerd shit news and WTLK is not dead. I'll just be focusing more into making that a legit segment on Thunder Talk. Because, of course, there's a snippet that's like maybe not even 2 minutes, on the past few Thunder Talk issues. Or I don't know how long it's been in this way, like maybe the last 8, 10 issues, 7, I don't know. Here, if y'all can figure it out, we might give you a t-shirt. Might give you a t-shirt, but don't hold us to that. But anyway, yeah, and so we always had a little snippet in there, and it's just sort of, sometimes it's an original snippet that I record, and sometimes it's actually a legit edited segment from these here WTLKs that you do listen to. And I'm just going to make it, a little longer and try to make it a legitimate Sexy Thor talking about nerd shit to nobody in particular, or to you, fair listeners, in my room. Oh, no. It's called Studio A. It's not my room. It's Studio A. Yeah. Just trying to keep that Thunder kayfabe going along. And so, yeah. So there'll be Thunder Talk with a more dedicated WTLK with, with there being more spacing between Thunder Talk episodes, even though the plan right now is for issue 20 to come out maybe even tomorrow. That would be Tuesday the 3rd, because it's the next day as a post day, or I don't know, sometime really soon. But the hope is we play a little catch up on the way to SC Comic Con and then do this every other week. But that's enough to give me, some time to plan out a legitimate segment and not just here's some headlines under 2 minutes, boom, boom, done. So, yeah, I get to have the purely wrestling podcast, which is, I'm sure, what I deep down always wanted anyway, since this whole thing began, because I don't think it's a coincidence that my love for wrestling and Thunder Talk pretty much spawned about the same time. I mean, that's kind of, signs slapping you in the face, like seriously. And then there's still Thunder Talk with a WTLK talking about nerd shit, so there'll always be that one segment of Thunder Talk not forgetting where it came from as we get more and more into, real world shit and, social discussion and all that good stuff that we have been bringing on Thunder Talk for the last year and a half, when we actually started growing out of just being like, hey, Batman and Catwoman's wedding, hoo hoo hoo. Okay, so I need to stop now because we're almost at 10 minutes and I have a shitload of shows to go over. So anyway, let's get off starting on Raw. We start off with Randy Orton once again coming out and trying to apologize and shit. And then Kevin Owens came out and was just like, Randy, I don't believe you. You're full of shit. Like, and Randy was just like, ugh. So they're going to fight in the main event. And then Angel Garza defeated Humberto Carrillo again. And so they'll have a show on Super Showdown, which was last Thursday, which I will get to in a good bit. But on tonight's Raw, it'll be Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo versus Andrade, who has come back from his 30-day wellness policy violation suspension thingy. Okay. And Angel Garza teaming up, and they'll be going head-to-head in tag team action. And then Ricochet defeated Luke Gallows, and right afterwards, Brock Lesnar addressed the WWE Universe concerning his match against Ricochet at Super Showdown. And they always keep talking about, well, if Ricochet beats Brock Lesnar, then he'll be the one to face Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. And Heyman just went on a whole tangent about if and said a pretty wonderful line that had Brock legitimately cracking up, and so did I. I just had to rewind it and play it back again several times because it was fucking hilarious. He said, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, but she doesn't, so she's not. So, yeah. Pretty much, Brock's keeping the balls. Brock's the aunt with the theoretical balls, I think. I don't know. I think that's just better yet not explained. And Aleister Black defeated Rowan for the second week in a row after the OC jumps him right beforehand. And so Aleister Black challenged AJ Styles, which this is going to be a very short feud because of what's going to go down in Super Showdown. Then they had the Women's Elimination Chamber match contract signing for the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. And it ended up with Natalya and Asuka brawling while Liv just straight up dove over the table at Ruby Riott. And Sarah Logan was just trying to pull her off Ruby, but she didn't strike at Liv or strike at Ruby, so maybe she's trying to be a sort of peace broker here. I don't know. But apparently at live events over the weekend, apparently it was some match of Liv and Sarah Logan actually teaming up and tagging up again. I mean, I'm just saying here, I wouldn't mind them becoming women's tag team champions too. But I want Alexa and Nikki to have those titles back. But anyway, Becky came out and brawled with Shayna while everybody else was trying to kill each other. And then there were back-to-back singles matches to get us jazzed for the Raw Tag Team Championship match for Super Showdown. And Dawkins versus Murphy was first, and it ended in a no contest when the Monday Night Messiah interfered. And then it ended up with Monday Night Messiah himself, Seth Rollins, defeating Montez Ford. And then in the main event, Randy Orton versus KO. Orton defeated KO as the refs count, or the refs 1, 2, 3, was actually super fast. And yeah, bullshit doesn't get by Kevin Owens without him knowing about it. So he got real suspicious and he ripped off the ref's zebra shirt, and turns out he was wearing underneath that a Monday Night Messiah shirt. So the referee turned out to be a disciple of the Monday Night Messiah, and Kevin Owens just he just had it. So he pretty much hit that referee with a stunner and then promptly put him through a table. But then the Monday Night Messiah and his disciples pretty much got the best of Kevin Owens, and he tried to get Randy Orton to hit KO with a concerto, but Orton walked away, and then so they all just ganged up on KO, and the Messiah and the disciples ended up brawling with the Viking Raiders and Street Profits. And on tonight's Raw, so far pretty much just announces, I think, more Brock Lesnar stuff. Of course, the Andrade, Garza, Carrillo, Mysterio tag match, and Beth Phoenix coming out to give an update on Edge's injury. On NXT, Cameron Grimes defeated Dominik Dijakovic only after Damian Priest attacked Dominic's leg, so it seems we're going to get that rivalry booted up here soon, and I'm predicting Keith Lee versus Damian Priest for TakeOver Tampa. And then Finn Balor came out and was just like, pretty much, I can fuck everybody up, whatever. And then he really wanted a challenge too, so you heard Imperium's music drop, and Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel came out, and so it's pretty much like, Walter's the best, he's going to kick your ass, but not before we do. So, yeah, Finn pretty much got messed up by Aichner and Bartel. So, I mean, heels versus heels, what you gonna do? And then Xia Li did a surprise roll-up on Mia Yim and got the win after Dakota Kai distracted her, because there is some history with those two, Kai and Yim, because Kai injured Yim to get her spot in TakeOver War Games, so she could ambush Tegan Nox and try to make Team Ripley lose, which she was unsuccessful with, except for the injuring Tegan part. Good. Then Raquel Gonzalez attacked Yim and then pretty much beat down Xia Li when she tried to defend Mia. And then Tommaso Ciampa defeated Austin Theory and then was attacked by Johnny Gargano. Velveteen Dream versus Roderick Strong in a steel cage match is set for this coming Wednesday. And of course, there's still Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai in a steel cage. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty steel cage centric episode of NXT coming up. Sweet. And then the grizzled young veterans defeated the Forgotten Sons, who I guess are like faces now, because they were all mad because these Brits were like insulting America and all that. So they pretty much dressed a little bit more patriotically and not just their usual Sons of Anarchy clothing. And GYV won. And then in the main event, Charlotte Flair defeated Bianca Belair and then started attacking her with a chair and was going to start torturing her and bringing the pain until Rhea Ripley came out to defend her NXT mate / rival. And she pretty much just shooed her out of there. At the same time on AEW Dynamite, Kenny Omega defeated Pac in sudden death after they tied 1-1 in a 30-minute Iron Man match. And then, of course, Pac was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and Orange Cassidy came out, which pissed off Pac, and he hit Orange Cassidy. And then afterwards, Jurassic Express defeated the Inner Circle, or Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz of the Inner Circle. Then the Best Friends defeated Butcher and Blade, and lots of wonderful exchanges between Bunny and Orange Cassidy, because Bunny took his sunglasses when he tried to put his hands in his pocket, so Orange Cassidy took her bunny ears and put it on himself, and she couldn't believe it happened. And yeah, eventually they somehow ended up trading back their little head items thing. So yeah, that was a wonderful moment, which, yeah, with Orange Cassidy, there's no shortage of wonderful moments. And then Jericho and Moxley had a weigh-in as a main event for their AEW World Championship match. And when they were pretty much... Well, John Moxley got weighed, and then Chris Jericho took his time getting weighed. He stepped on the scale, and then he walked out and got in Mox's face, so Mox headbutted him. And then they all started having a brawl, and Dustin Rhodes came to Mox's aid and went straight for Jake Hager, and they brawled all the way out into the sort of arena hallway. And even at one point, Jake Hager slammed him into the Dippin' Dots machine, and Jim Ross was like, "No, not the Dippin' Dots machine." JR was very upset. And then Darby Allin came to help, but Sammy Guevara intervened and broke Darby's skateboard. And then Jericho hit Mox with a Judas Effect elbow, and then did Mox's own finisher of the Paradigm Shift on the metal scale. So on to Super Showdown. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible because this was the most painful part of this particular podcast. So in the kickoff show, the OC defeated the Viking Raiders. Why? I don't know. And then we started off the main show with the two-wake, I'll say two-wake. The two-wake mountain trophy that is apparently very prestigious. And we started out with R-Truth pretty much getting accidental wins versus Bobby Lashley and Andrade. Like, there was just sheer dumb luck. Then he faced Eric Rowan, who got himself disqualified because he got mad that Truth accidentally knocked over the cage that has his weird pet in it. And so Rowan picked up the steel steps and beat the shit out of Truth with it. And of course got disqualified, so it was Truth versus AJ Styles, who finished him off with an ankle lock, because with Styles there is no dumb luck that can save you against him. And so Rey Mysterio's music dropped, and AJ was just waiting like, oh, I wonder when he's going to come out. And then the camera went to backstage where Gallows and Anderson were beating the shit out of Rey Mysterio, and AJ was like, oh, I guess Ray's not coming out. Just go ahead and raise my hand and give me the trophy, ref. And the ref was like, I'll do a 10 count, and if Mysterio doesn't come out, then you're the winner. So he did the 10 count, and then the camera went back to the backstage area where you saw Gallows and Anderson lying crumpled on the floor, and then you saw a familiar pair of black boots come into frame with a familiar black trench coat. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, The Undertaker is here. And The Undertaker came to the ring doing his 45-minute entrance, and then he didn't even take his coat and hat off. He just choke slammed AJ Styles, put his hand on his chest, got the 1, 2, 3, and Undertaker is the winner of the prestigious two-wake mountain trophy. And of course, this is pretty much setting up AJ Styles versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. Holy fuck! Then Miz and Morrison defeated the New Day to become new SmackDown Tag Team Champions after John Morrison was able to, hit Kofi in the face with a chair while the ref had his back turned, and then Miz did the rolly-up pin on him, which is, of course, the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling. And then next up, we had Mansoor defeating Dolph Ziggler. There was no story behind this. They just let Mansoor fight all the Saudi Arabia shows and win all the Saudi Arabia shows. And for some reason afterwards, they still always have a commentator out there to be like, congratulations. Like, he's done this 4 times. He won the biggest battle royal ever, and then he beat guys like Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro, who are just good wrestlers that he can work with, that'll just help put him over and put a good show on for the Saudi crowd. But I don't want to crap on his moment, because Mansoor seems like a good guy, and he seems like a really talented wrestler, and he gets to win and make the people of his hometown of Riyadh happy. So it's all good. And then Seth and Murphy defeated the Street Profits to retain the Raw Tag Team titles. Brock Lesnar defeated Ricochet, and Ricochet got absolutely no offense in. Like, he attempted a drop kick as soon as the bell rang, and Brock dodged it and pretty much took him to Suplex City, like 3 straight trips in a row, hit him with 1 F5, 1, 2, 3. Brock's going to WrestleMania. It's going to be Brock and Drew. You weren't surprised, but now there's the last hurdle that we have to pretend that this is actually something that we're waiting to see what's going to happen. Then the next up it was Roman Reigns versus Corbin in the steel cage. This one also was pretty quick. Roman didn't even have to spear him. Roman he brought a little chain with him to tie the door together just in case, Ziggler and Rude got some bright ideas and tried to open it up, which of course they did not. And then once that chain was ripped off anyway, Roman wrapped it around his knuckles, hit Corbin with a Superman punch. 1, 2, 3. This feud, which has lasted for literally 5 pay-per-views, is now over. In fact, I counted it. I'm pretty sure it started off with the last time they were in Saudi Arabia at the Crown Jewel event on Halloween. And now it's done. No, seriously this time, because of what's going to happen on SmackDown. But next up, 2 more events. Bayley defeated Naomi in the first ever women's championship match in Saudi Arabia. And now it's the first championship defense in Saudi Arabia. Or the first championship defendant, yeah. Okay, pretty much historic. They're just breaking a little bit more ground here and there. Then the main event, god damn it. Goldberg, The Fiend. Okay, that's pretty much how it went. They got to the ring. The Fiend didn't even have time to get off his jacket. Goldberg hit him with 4 spears. Fiend tried to mandible claw him, and then Goldberg broke out of that. And then I think there was maybe some kneeing or some other offense going on. And then Goldberg hit him with a jackhammer, I guess if you want to call that a jackhammer, it was a very botched jackhammer. And then got the 1, 2, 3, and Goldberg defeated The Fiend for the Universal Championship. Fuck. So I guess, the Georgia Bulldogs, they blow championship leads. The Atlanta Falcons, they blow championship leads. So I guess if you're somebody who's been on both squads, I guess you can beat an indestructible supernatural serial killer. I guess this is just how it is, huh? Whatever. Oh, let's just move on. So on SmackDown, I say let's just move on, but of course SmackDown started off with Goldberg coming to the ring, and he asked who's next. Then of course you hear dun 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 dun. Yeah, okay, it's Roman Reigns. He came out, he got on the mic, he said, "I'm next," and then he left. So, and they made it official. It's Roman Reigns versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Just like we all figured was going to happen, at least on Roman's end, which is fine with me because as the biggest Roman mock I know this is only something that I was only hoping for since October 22nd, 2018, when he laid the Universal title down at his feet and announced to the world that his real name is Joe, and he's been fighting with leukemia for 11 years. And yeah, that was not a great time. And then, of course, it was something that I've been patiently-ish waiting for ever since February 25th, 2019, when he said, "I'm in remission, y'all." Ooh, nice. But now this, even just seeing the graphic of Roman versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, I'm just like, oh my god, this is surreal. This is something I've been imagining seeing for a year, almost a year and a half. And now here it is. We are pretty much getting to be about a month away from WrestleMania. It's April 5th. So yeah, this is actually eventually going to become a reality. Whoo! Wow. So anyway, Naomi versus Bayley ended in a no contest when Sasha Banks came back and attacked Naomi. And of course, Sasha Banks came back after being off TV for a good while, back in her hometown of Boston. And then they started ganging up on Naomi, and then Lacey Evans, who hadn't been seen since the Royal Rumble, came out to help. So Naomi and Lacey Evans teamed up and defeated Bayley and Sasha. Very, very nice. Then we had the Intercontinental Championship contract signing for Elimination Chamber. And Braun was like, okay, whatever. I know I'm going to have to deal with you three anyway. So, and Sammy was just like, wait, did you say that you're going to fight the three of us? And of course, Sammy twisted his words around. So now Braun Strowman is now on a 1 versus 3 handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura, who I was wrong. Those injuries didn't write him off TV. They just happened, and clearly Shinsuke is still in action. Sami Zayn, who hasn't wrestled in since 14-12. And Cesaro. So yeah, I mean, Braun's probably going to end up beating all of them and then going on to WrestleMania, but we'll see. And then Miz and Morrison came out to celebrate their SmackDown Tag Title victory from the previous evening. And then they were just happened to be informed that they will defend those titles inside the Elimination Chamber against Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, the Usos, Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, and the New Day. And then finally, John Cena came out to address the Boston crowd, and he said that his WrestleMania plans will be that he will not participate in WrestleMania because WrestleMania spots have to be earned, not given, and he doesn't just want to be given a spot because he's John Cena. So he pretty much just announced, I'm bowing out of this year's WrestleMania. This is goodbye, at least for now, possibly for good. So yeah, he walked away, heroes goodbye, and he stood on the other side of the ramp by the entrance again and gave one final salute until the lights started going out in a very familiar way, and then the light came back on, and right behind him was the Fiend. John Cena turned and looked at the Fiend. The Fiend pointed up towards the WrestleMania sign. John tipped his cap. The lights went out again, and the Fiend was gone. So there we have it. John Cena versus the Fiend for WrestleMania 36, which I was getting pissy when I was hearing all these rumors about, the Fiend dropping the Universal title to fucking Goldberg, because, this was it was going to be the Fiend versus Roman at WrestleMania, and it was going to be two intersecting storylines because Roman wants that Universal title back, and also Roman is the last person on SmackDown that the Fiend wanted on his revenge tour because, Roman and Bray Wyatt had a pretty good feud a few years ago. So this was going to be like the Fiend trying to get his revenge and Roman trying to get the title that he never lost to anybody back again. But I mean, at least in the Fiend's sense, this also works because, Bray Wyatt and John Cena did have a feud going, and this was, some people will say it was Randy Orton that did this, and this will be some people that'll say that it was his feud with John Cena that did this. But, yeah, John Cena ended up winning that feud. There's a whole thing with he's got the whole world in his hands. Like a children's choir singing that to John Cena all creepily. So, yeah, arguably it'll be John Cena that was the one that ended up just killing whatever sort of threatening sort of heat that heels, like top heels, are supposed to have. Because Bray Wyatt was a terrific character, but, he just kept losing these major feuds. So it's just like, can you just start taking him less and less seriously? So arguably, now if the Fiend doesn't want to meet the same fate, John Cena's got to eat the biggest fucking mandible claw we've seen this side of man fucking kind.
Oh, like seriously. Like I want to see him eat such a big mandible claw, it makes me physically uncomfortable. Comfort is the enemy of progress anyway, that's what my chest tattoo says, so it's true. So anyways, this was all the WWE stuff. But on to the AEW Revolution pay-per-view that I got to watch Saturday night. I'll tell you what, I was a bit hesitant about forking over $50 to Bleacher Report Live for this pay-per-view, but actually it was well worth it. I'm amazed. The buy-in kickoff show, the Dark Order defeated SCU, specifically from the Dark Order, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. That's his name. After SCU asked Christopher Daniels to stay in the back because they think the Dark Order is trying to recruit Christopher Daniels to be their exalted one, which they did try to do that, but Christopher Daniels was like, nope. And then the Dark Order started attacking SCU after they defeated them, and Colt Cabana came out to save them. Colt Cabana's now joined the company. If you don't know who he is, he's been big and popular on the indie scene. He's been a commentator and a performer pretty much almost simultaneously on Ring of Honor for quite a few years now. He was actually name dropped by CM Punk in his very famous pipe bomb promo where he talks about how much WWE sucks and he could just go back to Japan or Ring of Honor with Colt Cabana. And so now Colt is now all elite. And then there was a hooded figure come out and that people thought was the exalted one finally, and I was just like, oh my god, if it turns out it's Matt Hardy now, because it's pretty some strong hints that it's going to be Matt Hardy whenever he finally gets out of WWE, because the Dark Order did say that they will make the SCU obsolete. So a hooded figure came out, and I was just like, oh my god, if this is fucking Matt Hardy right now. And no, it was actually Christopher Daniels, but he was not betraying SCU. He was surprise attacking Dark Order, and he stood tall with SCU at the very end. So yeah, that was very nice. And then in the main program, Jake Hager defeated Dustin Rhodes in his singles debut here in AEW. And then Darby Allin defeated Sammy Guevara. And then Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defeated the Young Bucks to retain the AEW tag titles. And at the end, Kenny embraced with the Young Bucks, and they tried to get Hangman to come back because the tension between Hangman and the Bucks were just growing and growing, especially in an interview that he walked out of between the four competitors here last week on Dynamite. And yeah, he still just grabbed a drink and walked away, so maybe the story isn't quite over yet. Then Nia Rose defeated Chris Statlander to retain the AEW Women's Championship. MJF defeated Cody after Cody passed all the stipulations, and he came out with both Arn Anderson and his wife Brandy Rhodes, and had this American Nightmare neck tattoo. Which, okay, sure, yeah, we'll go there. And yeah, eventually it was a wonderful match, but of course he snuck in that little Dynamite dozen ring that he won in that, I think, was it a Battle Royal or a Gauntlet match? I think it was a Battle Royal. And then he got the 1, 2, 3. So that particular diamond ring has served him pretty well. And then Pac defeated Orange Cassidy, which is a booking that I do not agree with. Like, Orange Cassidy still made great moments, and he is a wonderful star that people love, but I feel like Orange Cassidy should be like a chill version of like Undertaker, who's like pretty much undefeated for a really long time, and also just like doesn't sell. Like, he's just that cool that he'll just take those hits and then just get right back up like whatever. But this is how we're going, but he's still a wonderful and entertaining character. And then in our main event, holy shit, Jon Moxley, or as AEW announcer Justin Roberts calls him, Jon Moxley. Yeah, that guy. He defeated Chris Jericho, Le Champion, to become the new AEW champion. And that was also incredible. This whole pay-per-view was incredible. And good on Jon Moxley, because I was just thinking, a year ago, he was winding it down in WWE and had just started the storyline of the Shield's final chapter, getting ready for Fastlane. And now he is a world champion a month before Roman should go on to become Universal Champion. And Seth is still a tag team champion, so the Shield's doing alright for itself. And so am I, because good God, we are now past the 40-minute mark. So with that, I will say this has been WTLK The Thunder. Drink, fight, and make your ancestors proud.